Greetings and salutations. So, there's a big controversy the world over about how much protein you actually need. So, if you ask the World Health Organization, the maximum protein a human should have is 60 grams. Now, there's a controversy, a conspiracy theory, that the reason why that dose is set so low, it's so that the World Health Organization only has to provide rice to countries that need relief. So they can collect the money for the relief, then deliver something extremely cheap like rice as a grain to people. Now, I'm not saying that's true or not. Now, but they have tested the World Health Organization's theory, and they've put comatose elderly people under 100 pounds, bedridden, on diets that are 600 grams of protein, and they die. So clearly it's false. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, companies that sell you protein powder will tell you that you need to have 2 times your body weight in grams of protein. So if you're a 150-pound woman, 300 grams of protein. A 200-pound man, 400 grams of protein. Now, if you've ever been to the doctor, they'll tell you that, well, the protein of that quantity is bad for your kidneys, blah, blah, blah. They did a study on 12,000 nurses in Britain and had them on close to 200 grams of protein a day. And none of the incidence of renal disease was any higher with the nurses than with the general population. That all of the doctors spouting this nonsense about a high protein diet's bad for your kidneys is retarded and based off of the fact that all the data collected on a high protein diet was on people who already had kidney failure. So if you already have kidney failure, then if you have a high protein diet and don't exercise, so the protein never makes it to the muscle, just goes to the kidney, then you're going to have a gumming up of the nephrons. If you don't know what that means, it's bad. So you're like, Todd, why are you starting with this? It's because no one would have listened to this. The point is that we've established the minimum is definitely above 60, and a safe tolerance is upwards of 150, maybe even 200. Now, the normal medical science says you need 0.8 grams per kilogram. I know, right? That's too hard for you. So that means that if you're a 220-pound man, you only need like 80 grams of protein. Clearly, that's if you're 220 pounds of sedentary fat, not someone who's actually active. They did a study on Olympic gold medalists, gymnasts, and they found that if they gave them 1 gram of protein per pound body weight, they got great performance. If they gave them 1 gram of protein from whole food and 1/2 gram per pound body weight of powdered whey isolate, they got better performance. And if they gave them 1 gram of protein per whole food and 1 gram of protein from whey isolate per pound, they got amazing performance. Now, the question for you is, are you an Olympic gold medalist gymnast? Do you work that hard? Probably not. Are you solid muscle like a gymnast? Probably not. So the bottom line is, if you're trying to lose fat, go with 1 gram per pound of body weight or 1.25 grams per pound body weight. So those of you who are math challenged, that means that if it's like you're a 160-pound person, between 160 to 200 grams of protein a day. If you're trying to gain muscle, you don't need as much protein because you're eating so many more carbs. Because eating carbs is how you gain weight, not eating protein. Because protein's not a fuel source. If you live off of protein for fuel, your ALT and AST levels go up, and the doctor thinks you have liver failure because he's a shitty doctor. So the truth is, what you want is to have about 1 to 1.1 gram per pound body weight. So that means if you're that same 160-pound person, you would have 160 to 176 grams of protein per pound body weight. If you're like, this is too complicated, it's like for every ounce of cooked meat, no matter what animal it's from, it's 8 grams of protein. So if you're trying to have 160 grams of protein, that means you would have 20 ounces of meat. It doesn't matter if it's white fish or if it's steak. It's just you got to keep in mind that white fish and turkey breast, if it's not processed, real turkey breast, chicken breast, is usually a half a gram to 1 gram per ounce of fat, whereas steak can be 2, 3, even 4 grams of fat per ounce. So it adds up. If you're having 20 ounces of steak a day, even if it's really lean steak like I have round or 96.4 beef, it's still 20 grams of fat. If you're having ribeye, it's like 20 ounces of steak is like 60 grams of fat. Whereas you could have 20 ounces of cod and it's 0 grams of fat. So you got to use your brain, which I know is very difficult and scary, but it's your body and your health. And I know no one wants responsibility. They want a hard and fast approach. That's why I just told it to you. It's basically like for every, what would that be? For every 4 pounds of body weight, have 1 ounce of meat a day. The leaner the meat, the leaner your body will be. Not complicated. So you'll say, Todd, how does your company, Valhalla Labs, factor into this? Well, I don't sell protein because most people are allergic to dairy. But the point being is I don't really advocate the whey protein craze. Most people are allergic to dairy. That amino acids like isoleucine load carbs in the muscle. Mid-workout is when you'd want to do that. That's why isoleucine, and only isoleucine, is in battle meat intra. And then leucine post-workout activates the mTOR pathway for muscle protein synthesis. So that's why it's in battle meat post. And you're going to say, but Todd, you need all your amino acids present in order to synthesize new muscle tissue. And my answer is, that's why you ate meat all day. Is because the meat will take anywhere from 2 hours to digest, like if it's fish, or 8 to 24 hours if it's red meat. So if you constructed your diet correctly and you had like egg whites at meal 1, fish or steak at meal 2, lifted, had fish for meal 3, steak for meal 4, whatever, then you're going to be getting the digestion of the meat slowly over the course of the day, releasing amino acids, all 26 amino acids, because it's animal meat, into the bloodstream. It's not like it's vegetable protein where you get hit or miss whether you're getting all the amino acids. There are some vegetable sources like lentils and that are the best choice, or if you mix beans and rice, but you're never going to get enough protein that way. Now, without eating thousands and thousands and thousands of carbs. So if you're trying to gain weight, a vegan diet could work. If you want to lose weight, a vegan diet is almost impossible. There are people who will argue this, but that's because they're supplementing their vegan diet with some type of protein powder like pea protein called genus protein. So bottom line, that's how you do it. It's not that complicated. That's your formula. I can't say it again and make it simpler. I could just reiterate what I just said. So if you're confused, just watch this video again. So battle meat will optimize the results of the protein you eat. Make sure to pick up some battle meat at valhalla-labs.com.